I know what you're thinking. Theory classes are always boring and sometimes not even useful. But trust me, this one is different. I'm Mayur from Beatfactory Academy, and here's a rapid fire theory lesson that can help you instantly become a better music producer. So, let's start. I'm going to start with a question which is so basic, yet no one seems to answer it perfectly. What is sound? Sound is created when a trigger makes air particles vibrate. In the case of speakers, it's the speaker cone that vibrates front and back, creating a small pressure difference which makes the adjacent particles move. These particles in turn do the same for the particles in front of it, forming a chain of vibrations. And this is how sound travels through air. So you can see that the vibrations are in the direction of transmission, but for simplicity's sake, we represent a sound wave like this, where the y-axis is the amount of vibration and the x-axis is time. Also, frequency is basically how many times the particle vibrates or oscillates per second. When it moves faster, you hear a higher pitched sound, which will be in this area of the EQ, also called as treble. Same way, when it moves slower, it will be lower pitch and in the bass section of the EQ. This is very easy to understand if you have a guitar. The higher strings will vibrate way faster than the lower as the pitch is higher. But what happens if you play the same note on piano? Shouldn't it sound exactly the same? Now if you notice this EQ, we have multiple frequencies playing at once. I was always confused by this until I separated the concepts of pitch from frequency. Turns out, when you combine two sounds with different frequencies, you get a new waveform which will look completely different. And when you check the sound on your EQ, you will once again see the two frequencies separately. Now, certain frequencies can create such irregular shapes that they never seem to sound pleasant to the ear. But there are certain frequencies, such as direct multiples, which sound really good together. That's because they intersect at regular points and hence forms regular shapes. These are also called harmonics. However, when you hear the sound, the pitch that you perceive will always be of the lowest harmonic, also called the root note. Coming back to our question, why a piano sounds different from a guitar? It's because the harmonics are different. In fact, the harmonics and the way they change over time is exactly what defines that particular sound. This is the basis of electronic sound design. Once you have this theory cleared, it becomes easier to break down any sound and recreate it to perfection. Now we can use this concept that we just learned and go a step further to talk about mixing. Ever wondered why we tune our drum sounds to the scale of the song? It's because if they are out of tune, the final mix might not be as punchy as the drum itself. Yes, even though we are adding two sounds on top of each other, it's not necessary that the final audio will be louder. This is called the phasing problem. Now try duplicating a song and flipping the phase in the second track using a utility plugin and play the same sound together. Magically, you will hear that no sound is coming through the output. It's because the two waves are cancelling each other out and the result is subtractive instead of additive. This phasing issue is usually more prominent in the low end, which is why we EQ certain tracks with a low cut. It's because adding more sounds doesn't necessarily mean louder audio. This is exactly why we also check mono compatibility. That's because if the left and right channel are out of phase with each other, the final mono mix is not going to sound good at all. If you've seen my previous video, I have added a shortcut to turn on mono in my default set. Now you know why it's so important. So next time you feel like certain parts of the EQ are not doing anything for the song, just get rid of them because you never know how destructive they might be in the mix later on. Well, I hope this theory lesson was not too boring for you, and I hope it helps you become a better sound designer and an engineer. If you find this field interesting, then Beatfactory has the perfect courses for you. Head over to our website beatfactory.in or beatfactoryonline.com if you want to learn online and check out our courses out there. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care.